Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another day, another broadcast here of the OSC Season 12 Championship lower bracket round number 3. I'm of course Live VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in the chat, by my plushies as well. Welcome one and all to our second day in a row. Last night we were live with the upper bracket round 3. Now we are here with the lower bracket instead. Again, it's a massive event, a lot of rounds, a lot of matches. These are all best of 5s as well, and we are here to eliminate 4 of our players. Oh boy, it's gonna be a brutal one. Again, shout out to, of course, OSC, shout out to Eddie, shout out to those working behind the scenes for this event. It is a very large event, and for those, I should explain as well, what is the OSC Season 12 Championship? It's almost like the Katowice of online events, or the World Championship of online events. Basically, throughout the course of the year, players in online tournaments, they accumulate points, they, of course, gain rankings as a result, and they get invited at the end of the year to the OSC Championship. It's been running for 11 years already. We're here for year number 12. For year 12 of OSC. Oh boy. And we have the best of the best duking it out. But again, here we're in the lower bracket. We have 4 best of 5s. Scrolling on over here. Let's catch up on tonight's matches. Oh boy, we have some PvPs. So once again, we are going to be kicking things off here with NightMare versus Arrogfire in our first PvP of the night. What's exciting about this series here is that Arrogfire, he popped off. For those that were not here last week, Arrogfire, he actually eliminated Classic. Classic was a favorite. Classic, he was destined to make a deep run in this tournament and to go far. Arrogfire, he popped off. He took down Jumi and he took down Classic as well in a PvP. Arrogfire has been on fire. PvP is clearly his matchup. And mate, if you can beat Classic, you can beat NightMare. Like on paper, I want to say that Classic, NightMare, these guys, Jumi as well, are favored against Arrogfire. But that has not been the case. Like Arrogfire, he's been popping up, Poppy. Oh my god. So we'll see how that does turn out. Scrolling down, we have Mana versus Night Phoenix. Night Phoenix, to make it this far, he did take down Hon Mono, did eliminate him in a different matchup, is what I will say. But Mana, likewise, has also been looking very impressive in PvP. I know what it is, but in recent times, players like Arrogfire, players like Mana, they have been looking very strong in the PvP matchup. And we actually saw Mana go toe-to-toe with MaxPax not too long ago. Didn't bring him down, but did force him to the ace match. Again, even taking down some other big European Protosses as well. So Mana has also been looking on fire as of late. Night Phoenix, we've seen a little bit less of him. He's been less active. He isn't the most prominent player when it comes to these online open cups. Not the most active player, I should say, I should emphasize, but that's why I'm excited to see him here and now for the OSC Season 12 Championship. Scrolling down, we have Solar versus Nickrat. Nickrat caused another crazy, we had quite a number of upsets last week. Nickrat, he actually defeated Wayne to make it this far. Wayne, who I would pin as the best player, if not the second best player to skill us in the CIS region. Like, Wayne is a heavy favorite. I was expecting a more one-sided series, I'll be honest, in favor of Wayne, but Nickrat, he brought him down. He took down Wayne, eliminated him from the tournament. Now he's up against Solar. It doesn't get easier. I tell you, it does not get easier, Pappy. Yeah. So best of luck to Nickrat. Solar's still going to be the favorite player, but I want to believe here that Nickrat can cause some upsets. Scrolling down a little bit further, we have Spirit versus Creator in a TVP. This is also going to be an interesting one as well. Creator, I believe he got knocked down by Cure. Yes, he got knocked down by Cure in the upper bracket, so he did fall in a Protoss versus Terran, but it was really close. Like, Cure and Creator, they went all the way to the ace match. It was a very intense series. Cure, he also knocked down NightMare, by the way. That's why NightMare's down here. So both Creator and NightMare, they did fall to Cure. Now Creator has to face up against Spirit in the same matchup. Do I rate Cure higher than Spirit? I think I do. Like, I mean, Spirit has been looking really good, and Spirit, he had a crazy result last month in January, where he actually defeated Clem. He defeated Clem's Protoss, which is something that not many Terran players have done. So Spirit, he's going to be a wild card, and I'll be honest, that could go either way. Like, Spirit versus Creator, I can see that going either way. You know, best of luck to both of them. What's crazy to me is that Spirit and Creator, the winner of that series, plays against Cure in the next round. So potential rematch. Potential rematch there. Definitely something to look forward to here. So we will get to those matches momentarily. But again, we're going to be kicking things off with NightMare versus Arrogfire. Let's go. We have these 4 best of 5s ahead of us, and we're going to be jumping into game 1. Game 1 is going to be on Amygdala. Otherwise, hope you've all been enjoying yourselves in the chat. Hello, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Shout out to Setsuna in the chat. I see BBQ as well. Oh. Setsuna, BBQ. Bendito. ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal, papi? ¿Qué tal? Good to see you all as we're jumping into our first series of the night, and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Amygdala, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Streamer Zone. It is NightMare. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the purple Protoss player, representing his new team, Alien Esports. From Atlanta, France, it is Arrogfire. We go. We have our initial PvP, and again, Arrogfire has been on fire as of late, taking down Jumi, taking down Classic. Can he take down NightMare as well? I believe he can, but the pressure is on. Again, he's been on a tear. NightMare, I'm sure he is now a lot more aware, a lot more on edge as to his opponent's accomplishments, and is going to be a lot more wary coming into this as well. For the time being, welcome one and all to Amygdala. Amygdala being one of the larger maps in the map pool, is a very large map, longer rush distance by ground as well, but in a PvP that isn't the biggest of factors, just because of how the Warpian mechanic works. Doesn't matter how large the map is, you can still be hyper aggressive at times, plenty of locations for proxies as well. We'll see how our players will approach this. For the time being, 2-gate opener here out of NightMare, likewise a 2-gate opener out of Arrogfire as well. We're slowing things down. I know that recently I've been mentioning how a lot of the Korean Protoss players have been incorporating Gate into Cybercore into expansion as of late, and I do stand by that. That has been happening, but not in this series. Not in, or at least not yet. Not in Game 1. So back to our tried and true 2-gate openers. From here, we're going to be waiting for our initial 2 units of choice. Do we open up Double Stalker, Double Adept, Stalker Sentry, or Sentry Expand? There are definitely options here to our 2 players, and depending on the opener, we'll see what direction our players want to take us in. Do we want to be aggressive, economic, safe, greedy? What's the plan? As both players scout each other, they confirm the positioning of the second pylon. Pylons are in each other's gas geysers or mineral lines, so they're going to be safe and sound. There is no proxy. We have the answer, Double Stalker. Double Stalker out of NightMare, something much more aggressive, much more assertive. Across the map, Stalker Sentry, something much more safe and standard out of Arrogfire. So Arrogfire is going to be the defender. NightMare is going to be the aggressor, as he will be moving out across the map. You can see the rally already to apply pressure and to potentially even reinforce this with a 3rd and 4th Stalker. Now, I'm not too in love with the idea of making an extra wave of Stalkers just because of the rush distance by ground. We mentioned it before, the map is quite large, and it will take a long time for them to reinforce. On a smaller map, 100%. Ooh. As NightMare actually going to be knocking down those rocks instead. Interesting. Not going across the map, but just working on those rocks initially. We'll see if that comes into play. We'll see if eventually we intend to expand here as a 3rd. But we might be thinking a little bit too far ahead. For now, we're just expanding, we're settling in. Again, NightMare making use of his additional units here, additional DBS to knock down those rocks. We have our tech of choice going to be a Twilight Council out of Arrogfire working towards Blink, and NightMare doing the same. Okay, is going to be taking the same direction. Likewise, Twilight Council on the way. Hallucination dives in for a full scout, and Arrogfire, he will confirm the opener. He will confirm the tech of choice. Likewise, we should soon be seeing the hallucination here of NightMare as well. As for the time being, he is in the dark, as to the tech. And brings down the rocks to half HP. Pulls back. Here comes that hallucination, so now NightMare will also confirm what exactly is going on. Get eyes on his opponent, on the tech, and both players so far are mirroring each other. There's like some slight deviations here when it comes to the timing of the Twilight Council and the timing of the upgrades, but even then it's negligible. Shouldn't really be too much of a factor. Right now we're checking for extra gateways, checking for earlier tech, and checking for 3rd bases as well. Ooh, as Arrogfire does throw down a reinforcing pylon. Does throw down the proxy pylon. but is still going to be expanding. There we go. Third base only for Arrogfire, likewise third base only for NightMare. Hallucinations will confirm that both players are aware, and now we're settling into a longer game state. Again, just to reiterate, we did mention how large this map is. Now it can be more conducive here to longer games. I was talking about how, like, oh, you know, in a PvP you can still be hyper aggressive though, and that is true. But for the time being, both players are just calming things down, building up, getting their third bases, getting into blink. We do have some extra gates initially here from NightMare. Meanwhile, Arrogfire, he delays his gateways in favor of a faster forge and upgrades. So because of this, NightMare can be a little bit more assertive with extra warp ins, but this could just be for safety. We'll see if he does intend to actually move out. Could just be for safety here. Going for a slightly later forge. We'll see if a prism is made with that robo. Rocks are being knocked down. Again, we'll see if NightMare does take that, or does look to take that as the fourth. Save another spotted pylon. So far, so good. So far, NightMare is up to 4 gates, which again is a pretty safe amount of gateways here. Nothing too aggressive or assertive. If he goes up to like 6, up to 8, up to 10 gates, then sure, then we can bring it up, of course. For now, we're just building up back at home. Now we do see Arrogfire catching up with his own gateways, going for his own robo as well. Some of this tech, some of this production is a little bit later here for Arrogfire, so that might come into play, assuming we were to go into, you know, Immortal production, for example. But for the time being, that's not the case. We're just being more passive, building up. Gateway explosion on the way from NightMare. Getting up to 9 gates. It's going to be a lot of gateways. And NightMare, he isn't taking his gases at his third base, but he does take a gas geyser here at the natural. So he can afford to take. Charge only for Arrogfire. A little bit surprised that we don't have charge yet from NightMare. We should be seeing that soon. As he will take the, let's go. As he does take the gold. Going for the gold base. Arrogfire the first to move out. He's spotted by the pylon. NightMare is aware. Getting in position. So far, very nice force fields, delaying the push, keeping Arrogfire at bay. Double depth shading to the mineral line, but NightMare, he's in position. He's ready for this. And he is ready. He will focus on those adepts at the same time. Arrogfire trying to force his way up the ramp. Oh. Not quite able to. Once again, NightMare, he has the high ground. Even does focus on 2 of their stalkers. Very nice pickoffs. Takes down 2, 3 stalkers towards the end. Pulls back in time. So far, just out trading his opponent, sniping 3 stalkers for 2. So better trades there for NightMare. Arrogfire, he did scout the expansion. He knocks down the massive tumors, rotating over towards that center base and taking his own. Taking his own gold. And despite NightMare being greedy and taking this expansion so far, he just can't mine from it. Not yet. Charge still on the way. Stalker count heavily in favor of Arrogfire. 23 to 17. Oh, catches the stalker. Not bad. NightMare setting up for the surround. He's trying to set up, or even just going for a counterattack. Nah, he's coming in. Those Zealous from one end, Zealous from the other as well. Stalker's having a hard time engaging. Base taking a lot of hits. And we're getting ready. We go for the dive. Zealots are coming from behind, and NightMare, he can blink over the wall. So far, a lot of ways to DPS. Does blink in, takes down the prism, and no more reinforcements. And NightMare, he breaks out, and more Zealots have arrived. Arrogfire trying to get out of here, trying to blink away, but brutal losses. Brutal losses here, bleeding out so many stalkers. Oh god, I'm afraid to look, but it was 17-7. Jesus Christ. 20 stalkers going down. The trades were brutal. 20 for 9. Almost a 2-for-1 trade here. Just very efficient out of NightMare, just catching Arrogfire completely off guard. Again, Zealots, they trade so efficiently here against stalkers. As Arrogfire mainly picking up Zealots. At the same time, Warp Prism into the main. Massive Warp In does complete, forcing a recall. And NightMare doesn't back up. Doesn't back off, keeps on pushing, and water production has begun. Zealots buying time in the main base, going for another massive warp in. And Arrogfire, he might have just been broken here and now. Takes down the cannon. Immortal has made it, but there's still plenty of zealots. Oh, nice blink. Takes down the prism. Prism goes down, but the Immortal will fall as well. And Arrogfire, he's going to be able to barely hold on here, but the losses have been brutal. I say barely hold on, the Stalkers, they're going down. They're going down one after the other. Brutal losses. Boys are being pulled, more pros are falling. GG gets called, and NightMare, he will overwhelm. He will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. NightMare will take a lead. Again, Arrogfire, he wasn't playing too badly. For the most part, players, they were keeping up with each other. Arrogfire, he was denying mining at the gold base, but he didn't realize that he was being surrounded. He didn't realize there was zealots coming in from the north and from the south as well. We had the full surround, and we saw how efficient NightMare traded. He killed 20 stalkers for only 9 of his own. I'm only bringing up the stalker count because zealots are negligible. Like zealots are just very cheap units, and you want to trade zealots for stalkers. That's the ideal. This is also why typically when we get into the mid game of PvP, once as the zealot count gets high enough, you need either Colossus or Archons. Archons are usually the go-to, but you need Archons here to buffer, to help do splash damage, to help deal with those zealots. Without those Archons, without any splash damage, then stalkers are so vulnerable, as you saw here. And yeah, it's just a really rough fight for Arrogfire. GG, well played. Was caught with his pants down, was surrounded, and with that, we're now getting into game number 2. We'll see if Arrogfire can fight back as we load into ley lines. Let's go. Let us go. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of ley lines, we have the blue Protoss player, the blue Protoss from South Korea, representing Streamer Zone, leading the series 1-0. It is NightMare. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the French Protoss player, the purple Protoss, representing his new team, Elite Esports. It is Arrogfire. Here we go. Again, shout out to a team long gone by here. Alpha X was around for many years, actually. Players like Arrogfire, players like even Zaun, who used to be on said team way back in the day. Good times. It's crazy how much time has passed. Crazy. Another. Are moving out. Because they do fan out across the map. We should be seeing 2 gate openers all around from both players. There we go, 2 gate opener out of Arrogfire, 2 gate opener out of NightMare. So far, so good. Now, if you recall, last game, this led into an interesting opener. I mean, NightMare, he went double stalker, but it looks like it was just for safety. He was knocking down those rocks ahead of time, that is true. But for the most part, he wasn't really too assertive with that start. So we'll see how he does adjust. Likewise, Arrogfire as well. Do we feel enough pressure to open up Double Adept instead and move out and go for a Stargate opener into Oracle Harass? Hard to say. For now, no proxy. There is no proxy. There's a pylon in the main base for NightMare, and the pylon in the main for Arrogfire as well. So no proxies, and both players should confirm. I mean, they do. Yeah, the probe in the main for both players, so they are fully aware of what's going on. Cybercore is about to finish up and show us the first 2 units. Show us what you got. Had a Stalker Sentry here by Arrogfire. Double Stalker once again at NightMare. Now, if you recall, my assumption was that NightMare was going to rally across the map and get some damage done early on. That was not the case on Amygdala. Again, the rush distance by ground is too large, so he did just spend his DPS on rocks instead. Here, coming into ley lines, I do expect him to move out. I do expect him to push across the map and to try to trade with the army, be somewhat assertive, and potentially pick off a key unit. You can see the rallied right into the main. So the rally here for these gateways, this makes more sense. And yep, there it is, going for a 3rd and 4th Stalker behind this as well. And what I love about this is the kind of rate of progression of the, oh my god, rate of progression of the tournaments of this series so far. But Arrogfire is turning this into a 1-base all-in. We have a robo, we have a gateway, we do not have an expansion. Arrogfire being hyper committed here, and because of the Mass Stalker from NightMare, he will not have hallucination. He will not scout the main. He shouldn't. Uh-oh. Again, that's the downside of not opening up with a sentry, is lack of scouting. NightMare does poke in, dancing with the initial units. Does take down a sentry, but will bleed out a stalker in the process. 1-to-1 trade. I'll say the sentry is a little bit more valuable than a stalker, has a little potential with those spells. So better pick off. Meanwhile, does drag the army out into the open. Third and fourth stalker have arrived. Arrogfire has to back off, has to get out of here. And again, one base all in. He's just going for the one base all in. Is committing here. Meanwhile, NightMare is going to be out trading. Takes out another stalker. Takes down the stalker. Pulls away. Arrogfire does defend. And again, my biggest concern here. We need hallucination. We need to scout. Sentry's moving out, trying to force field. Up. Looking down the army, trading 1-to-1. Barely almost catching another stalker, but this means no scouting. And now he knows. Now he sees the prism. Now he knows it's a one base all in. NightMare has to back off. We need shield batteries. 0 shield batteries here at the natural. He is not ready. He needs time. There it is. Shield battery just now beginning. Oh, prism taking a lot of hits. Taking a lot of damage. Surprisingly so. And NightMare trying to be assertive, but he's going to be forced back. Arrogfire, he'll maintain himself. Leaving another stalker. Intense trade so far. And again, NightMare is just trying to buy as much time as possible for that shield battery. Immortals are being rallied across the map. And NightMare is being overwhelmed. Remember, Arrogfire, he is up a gateway. He's up in warp ins. NightMare, he wants the prism. Boys are being pulled. Shield battery is done. Ooh, doesn't quite get the stalker. Yeah, not quite. NightMare being dragged down to low ground. We're slightly out of position. Another stalker going to be going down. Ooh, catches another stalker, not bad. Takes out another. There's the NG overcharge. NightMare barely holding on. He's holding on for now, but here comes the Immortal. And this might just be too much. Arrogfire forcing his way through. Once again, boys being pulled. There's no boys left. 6 probes go down, and Arrogfire, he has control of the natural. And he should not lose this control. Blink is almost done. That will help, don't get me wrong. We see NightMare going across the map. He has a proxy gateway, proxy pylon even. The natural is going to go down. Arrogfire expanding behind this, getting further ahead. Oh. So once again, taking a lot of hits. Catches the stalker, gets one. One stalker goes down. Hope he got micro there out of Arrogfire, saving the sentry. We'll snipe the gateways. How many gates do we have left? So 3 so far, down to 2. 2 gateways for NightMare. Does reinforce across the map with adepts. Does warp in. Arrogfire, does he notice? He doesn't. He gets into the main. But that's 2 gateways falling. 1 gateway left. He can only warp in 1 unit at a time. There's the recall. There's the recall back home. Nicely done here by NightMare. By NightMare, he's still in a world of hurt. He's down economically, down in production. He has Blink, that is true, but that's all he has. And again, he can just warp in 1 stalker at a time. That's all he has to reinforce. Not like this, retaking his natural. And it's gonna be a tough game here to bring back for NightMare. Not impossible. There's a chance with Blink that he can maybe bypass the main army and get into the main. Adepts, they are gonna be denied the shade though. Now NightMare, he can hallucinate an air unit to gain high ground vision. So he can hallucinate an Oracle and then dive into the main. That's maybe the best chance for NightMare. But Arrogfire is just going to zone him away. Just going to zone him back. Pushing his way forward. Depth's going to be locked down. And Arrogfire, he just pushes. At this point, he just moves out. And we're looking to make a series out of this. Again, Arrogfire, he's the one who beat Classic. He's the one who took down Jimmy. And he's also going to be the one to make a series here against NightMare as well. Could he take it all? I mean, that's definitely a good chance. Oh boy. NightMare, he's doing whatever he can here to just buy time. He's trying to reestablish his natural base. He has some sentries. He's working towards extra gateways to build up his army. But the reality is here that NightMare has just so much of an army left over and still maintains the greater economy. So Arrogfire, he should not fall behind when it comes to production, when it comes to his army supply. Again, the big advantage is just the mobility of NightMare, and there is a chance here that he can outposition his opponent and maybe get into a mineral line, get some economic damage, and recall back home. Like, there are definitely opportunities here for NightMare to get some kind of counter damage if Arrogfire moves out. And there it is. There's a move out from the purple Protoss. NightMare moves in. And ideally, NightMare wants to force his army to turn around and come back home. There's a blink. Dives into the main base. Probes are going to be going down. There's the recall. Recalls 3 stalkers. Not too many. Just a handful of stalkers. Arrogfire, he commits. There are force fields for both players. And sentry goes down. So far the control is good here. May not have blink, but has the next best thing. Has the prism. So very nice war prism micro. 1 stalker goes down. Just the one. Oh, coming in from behind. Boys are being pulled. Hammer going for the surround. He wants the prism. He wants it. Ooh, and it looks like he should get it as well. Never mind. GG gets called. Arrogfire, he does snowball out of control, and Arrogfire will tab the series 1-1. GG. Does tie things up, and that is going to lead us here into game number 3. And again, I'm just happy that we have a back and forth. It's not one-sided, not a 3-0 in either direction. And we'll see who can take a lead, who gains momentum in this series. Game 3 is going to be on Romanticide. Oh boy, for those that may be tuning into an OSC event for the first time, you may not be familiar, but OSC tournaments, they feature extended map pools. Basically, every season, players, they vote. They vote on which maps to be added to the tournament map pool, and this season, we have 3 added maps. We have Gressvan, we have Airhome, and we have Romanticide. And here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Streamer Zone, being forced into a tied-up series. We'll see if we can bring him back. It is NightMare. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the French Protoss player, the purple Protoss representing Alien Esports. It is Arrogfire. Let's go. Let's go. As Romanticide is one of the, well, it's maybe even the largest map in the tournament map pool. It's quite big. It's quite big. I believe it's smaller than Neon Violet Square, for example. It's in some of the older maps, but it's larger than, of course, the newer maps, I should mention. It's a very large map. A lot of bases to be taken. We have seen a lot of mid to late game, a lot of split map scenarios here on Romanticide in the past. But in a PvP, as we even saw in the last game, you can be a little more aggressive. You can be a little more assertive. I'm not really expecting kind of like a standard back and forth mid game between these two. We didn't even really get that in game 1. We almost did, but then NightMare kind of caught Arrogfire before he could saturate his 4th. So I'm expecting aggression. But now, ooh, Arrogfire hiding his first pylon. Let's go. So basically we have a probe scout coming in. NightMare, he's looking for the second pylon, and the second pylon is going to be hidden here out on the map. Now, I was going to say this should just be a fake out and designed to try to catch NightMare off guard and make him overreact and make him second guess himself, but the probe is on patrol, which means this could be a prime location for a proxy Stargate. If it's a Stargate, it's not a one base all in. Based on this position here, it'd be a little bit too awkward for a proxy robo, so I'm leaning more towards Stargate, and there it is. Stargate is on the way. Again, the reason why it wouldn't make sense for it to be... actually, never mind. I was going to say the reason why it wouldn't make sense for it to be a robo is because of the rush distance by ground. You have to go the long way around here. But I do remember, it's been years, but I do remember proxies existing where you would proxy Rax or proxy robo here, and then you'd have 2 workers to mine this patch, to mine through these minerals, and to actually allow this to be a viable location for a committed all-in for a proxy. So that has happened in the past, not happening here, but I do recall that happening either in this location up here on top of the ramp, and also on the other side of this mineral wall as well. So these mineral walls, they can still be kind of like a deadly location, and NightMare, he's checking. Yeah, he's checking these mineral walls. I mean, he was an active player back in the day when this map was in rotation, so he knows. Meanwhile, gonna be proxy Oracle here, moving out across the map for some economic damage. NightMare, yep, he's checking the close by locations for proxies. Remember, he knows that there is a missing pylon, so he knows that the pylon's somewhere. Alas, it is on Arrogfire's half of the map. And up shade in. Ooh, that should not have happened. Massive shade here from Arrogfire. Gets into the middle line. He can one-shot probes. He gets 1, he gets 2, he gets 3. How many more? Getting up to 4. Can we get up to 5? One more shot. Oh, does get 5 probe kills, almost 6. Very nice damage. That's a good start, and we're not done because here comes that Oracle. Oracle pokes in, zoned away by the main army, gets Revelation off. So far, does survive. Back at home, Arrogfire, he expands. He expands, Robo's on the way, and NightMare is going for his own counter all in. What do we see here? This is the same setup that Arrogfire had in the last game. 3 gateways and a Robo, 1 base all in. The difference, though, is that Arrogfire, because of the Revelation, because of the Oracle, he saw this faster. He did scout this sooner than NightMare did. As NightMare, he didn't scout this until the prison was halfway across the map, if you recall. Because NightMare, he opened up a quadruple Stalker without a sentry. Meanwhile, he will find the proxy. We'll focus it down. This is buying time, though. 2 shield batteries already done. Stasis as well. This is a much stronger response, much stronger defense here from Arrogfire already. NightMare going for the main. Does head towards the main base. Stasis trap on the way. Does he notice? I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did notice. Gets behind the mineral line. He can one-shot probes. Yeah, 4 stalkers do one-shot. So far gets 3, gets 4, gets up to 5. Nice counter damage. Makes up for his otherwise lost workers earlier by the adepts. Ooh, but the prison takes a lot of... Oh no! The prison! Oh my god, it gets so low. Whew. It gets so incredibly low here. One more volley would have gone down. That would have been game. That would have been game then and there. Nice force field. Prism does get away. Does limp away from the natural. That was uncomfortably close. Jesus. As Arrogfire, he's ahead. I mean, remember, he has his natural base. It's been mining the entire time. NightMare trying to transition out of the all-in, trying to transition into his own natural as well. But Arrogfire does have a lead. As he's been mining more for longer. And at NightMare, yep, he's turning this from a 1-base all-in into a 2-base all-in. Glaive Adepts, they do not scale well into a longer game. It's going to be Immortal into Glaive Adepts. This is actually a very common build by Hero. Hero is very fond of this build, and NightMare is embracing it as well. Oh! Prison once again taking a lot of damage. Meanwhile, NightMare gets into the mineral line. Picking up a couple of workers, just trying to slow down Arrogfire, goes with recall, escapes with 1 stalker. Just the 1. But he is building up, and he's hoping he wants Arrogfire, 1, to stay at home and to be in the dark, but also, not just that, to expand to transition, to ideally be a little bit too greedy. NightMare trying to rotate in. Again, he's just keeping NightMare preoccupied. Keeping him pinned back at home. So NightMare is building up. NightMare just waiting for his upgrades, building up more Immortals. He's up to 3 Immortals already. That's a lot of Immortals. Remember, Arrogfire, he stopped at 1. He stopped at 1 Immortal. He's working towards Blink. He's getting ready for an expansion. All things that are not going to help Imperi in the defense against the all-in. And there's a 3rd. Oof. There's a 3rd base. Now, this isn't over for the Arrogfire, not at all. He can still defend, even with taking an expansion like this, just because, remember, he was ahead. Did have the greater economy. But again, it's not going to help. As I say, focus on a couple of those workers. So 4, 5, 6 probes already going down. Here comes the main army. Here comes the all-in. Now, NightMare doesn't want to waste his time at the third. Doesn't want to waste his time. Rotates around. Arrogfire going for his own drop. Let's go. Trading well, but this is also an army that's not at home to defend. Stasis goes off. Massive connection, but here comes the push. And it's all or nothing for NightMare. Either he kills Arrogfire or he dies trying. For now, forces to cancel at the third base, but again, this is not enough. He needs to keep going. Does need to keep pushing. Stasis runs out. There's the recall. There's the recall back home. Nice force field. Locks down the army. And Arrogfire out of position. Recall's on cooldown. He cannot recall the army. Let's try to juggle over. So much wasted DPS. Yeah, strong start for NightMare. Once again, breaking his way through. Force fields do make it a little bit more awkward. The prism goes down. No more reinforcements. No more warpins. And NightMare doesn't have enough. The shield battery's out of energy. Mortals doing what they can. But Arrogfire, he holds. Whew. He does hold on. Doesn't kill any immortals. Does hold nonetheless. It was close. If NightMare was allowed to reinforce, then he could have broken through. Behind this, he expands. He expands, getting a third base. Trying to gain a lead. To get pokes forward. Ooh, takes down the immortal. And that was a mistake. That shouldn't have happened. The boys are being pulled. And NightMare, he breaks through. He breaks the natural. Arrogfire out of position. Blinks on the main army. Bleeding out every single stalker. GG gets called. And NightMare, he pops off with the all-in. He does take a lead in the series. Whew. GG. GG, well played again. Unfortunately, it took a really long time for Arrogfire to realize what was happening. Remember, Arrogfire, he was expanding, he was taking a third base, he was harassing across the map, he was focusing on further tech, and he wasn't necessarily warping in. First things, he wasn't warping in, and if you remember, he wasn't making any of his own defensive immortals. He only had one. He had one immortal, that's it. He was just focusing on a later game state. He wasn't expecting the all-in, and he was caught off guard. He was caught with his pants down. And NightMare, he barely didn't break Arrogfire with the first push, but the second push was what did it. Was able to pull it off. GG, well played. NightMare takes a lead, and now we are getting to game number 4. We'll see if Arrogfire can force the ace match, or if it all ends here and now on Gressvan. Let's go. So again, we are loading into one of the older maps in the map pool. I mean, we were just on Romanticide, and now we take it one step further. We're loading into Gressvan. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player. The blue Protoss leading the series 2-1, one game away from advancing on and bringing down his opponent. Can he win it all here and now? For Streamer Zone, it is NightMare. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the French Protoss player, the purple Protoss, representing Alien Esports. Down in the series, he has a fight back here and now to force that ace match. It is Arrogfire. See, big away in the chat. The pants were down, Bobby. They were all the way down. No. Again, he was expanding, he was teching, he was delaying immortal production. Arrogfire, he was getting ready for the mid game, but no. It's not what NightMare was there for. And we'll see where this leads us here on Gressvan. Again, Gressvan, similarly to Romanticide, it was the macro map for its time. Plenty of bases, wide open spaces, just large map in general, long rush distance by ground. Traditionally, in other matchups, we see a lot of mid to late game on this map, but in PvP, different story. Different story here. We expect aggression. So far, 2-gate. We have our 2-gate opener out of Arrogfire, 2-gate opener out of NightMare as well. So far, so good. So we have our initial openers. Likewise, we are looking for pylons. We have the second pylon in the main base. Likewise for NightMare as well. So this time there is no proxy. There is no hidden tech. Last game, of course, it all began with Arrogfire going for a proxy Stargate. With a proxy Oracle. which in the end didn't really do too much. I mean, it actually did scout the first all-in. There were layers to the aggression of NightMare in that last game. True. There were layers. Yorko had its place. Meanwhile, we do have, an interesting opener here. We have a Stalker Sentry opener out of Arrogfire. Standard stuff. But NightMare opens up Double Adept. Double Adept instead. His goal here to zoom across the map. And to get economic damage. Behind this does expand. But an aggressive start nonetheless. We'll see if Arrogfire can keep up. Can't keep up for now. Nice force fields looking down the first adept. First adept goes down. Better pick up here from Arrogfire. Very nicely done. Now suddenly there's no one-shot potential. Arrogfire going to be opening up Robo. Interesting choice. A Robo opener is typically very safe. Just a very safe way to play. Gives you access to early observers, early Warp Prism, and early Immortal production as well. So in case Arrogfire was being all-in, he'd be ready for it. Ooh, throwing down a third gate as well. Very aggressive. Third gate on the way. This might be an earlier Warp Prism as well, out of Arrogfire. NightMare back at home, taking up into a Twilight Council into Blink. NightMare, despite the initial aggressive start with Double Adept, he is going for a very kind of mid-game oriented setup here. Working towards Blink Stalkers, very Sentry heavy as well. Like, NightMare is getting ready for a longer game. Meanwhile, I see a Warp Prism, and that third gateway is about to finish. Arrogfire is going to be hyper aggressive here. Arrogfire is going to be pushing with a terrifying army. I mean, that's a lot of sentries here. That's a lot of force fields. And what's really important about early game PvP and the power of this sentry is that Blink isn't done. Like, you might be thinking, oh, the force fields doesn't really matter. You can get out of it with your own Warp Prism micro, with your own Blink Stalkers. Here for NightMare, there is no defensive Warp Prism. There is no Blink. It's not going to be a factor, not in this fight. So Arrogfire, he's hyper committed. He is pushing, and his goal here is to lock down the army, to slice it up with force fields, and to break NightMare. Now NightMare, he's getting a safety shield battery. It's on the way. NightMare, he has yet to really confirm what's going on. Sorry, he did see the gates. He knows. He saw the gateways. He knows what's happening. But his army pales in comparison. And the force fields, they lock down 2 Stalkers already. 2 Stalkers go down. Massive pickups. There's not much left over. And Arrogfire, has he done it? Shield battery is done. Nice control so far with that Prism. Saving his units. 1 Stalker goes down. But the shield battery's out of energy. There was only 1 shield battery. NightMare, he may have just done it. It's getting closer. The sentries are very low. Very low sentries. Points are being pulled. NightMare getting desperate. Takes out most of the sentries. But what about the Stalkers? What about the main army? Again, Arrogfire, he's warping in 3 Stalkers at a time. Once again, the boys are being pulled. Better trades here for Arrogfire. Nice target firing. Focusing on the Stalkers. And Arrogfire, he's done it. At this point, he has done it. Dives in, takes out the Prism. Ooh, it barely does bring it down. And with that NightMare, he might barely hold on. Nah, not even. 16 probe kills. Jesus. And just so much economic damage. Arrogfire, recalls back home. Doesn't risk it. Does pull away. I do think he could have stuck around and maybe killed the pylon 100%. I think Arrogfire is playing it very safe, but he does take a lead. He's ahead in workers. He has full saturation at the natural. He has immortal production, re-ranking the Warp Prism as well. It looks like Arrogfire, he was really scared because he lost the Warp Prism, so he couldn't reinforce, so he doesn't risk it. So on the one hand, I do think that Arrogfire could have dealt more damage here. I think he could have achieved more. Regardless, he achieved enough to get ahead. NightMare is moving in. He does have Blink, true. Has Blink available. Just rushing into a fast third. And it looks like the goal for NightMare is to try to macro out of this, try to catch up, be greedy, but the hallucination does confirm. And Arrogfire, upon seeing this third base, he can do one of 2 things: either take his own third or double down and turn this into a second 2-base all-in. He's up to 4 gates. He's on 4 gateways. There's a recall. Gets a Stalker, gets a third. Okay. So Arrogfire, he's not counter-attacking. He might apply some pressure, don't get me wrong. Oh my god, 7 probes! 7 probes going down. NightMare, he's popping off. Gets 7 worker kills, escape with one of the adepts. NightMare is still in this. Arrogfire, he's pushing, but as he moves out, the adepts are moving in. Yeah, just distracting Arrogfire. Keeping him busy. The Prism! Prism just went down. Oh no. NightMare. Sorry, Arrogfire. We'll lose the Warp Prism. NightMare picks it off. Back at him, shield batteries on the way. Now these are late shield batteries, true. They are late. But NightMare, he has the high ground. He has force fields. And Arrogfire, despite having a strong start, despite being ahead, he lost 7 workers, lost the Warp Prism, reinforcements are delayed. NightMare keeps up with the rotation. It's keeping up. Catches the Stalker. And this is still very close, very tense. Both players have 1 immortal each. And the longer this goes on, the better it is for NightMare. Arrogfire pulls away. Okay, no, he doesn't feel confident here. Does pull back, does race back home. I don't blame him. And now we're calming things down. Okay, now when it comes to the current game state here, Arrogfire still maintains a slight economic lead, so economically he is ahead. Likewise, Blink is catching up with Blink. He has a Fortune +1. He has the Bay on the way for Disruptors. NightMare is taking up and getting ahead tech-wise here in the main. Sorry, Arrogfire. I keep saying NightMare. God damn it. Arrogfire, he's getting ahead. He's taking up. NightMare is sticking with a more mid-game oriented army with Charge. Charge is on the way instead. And now because of this, there's going to be a window. There's going to be a window in time where Arrogfire doesn't really have many, if any, disruptors, and he's going to be vulnerable here to his opponent. NightMare, he scouts, he checks, he confirms the Bay. He's aware of the Bay. Taking a 4th base. Again, he knows that he's falling behind tech-wise. What is the answer going to be? As here comes that first Disruptor. First Disruptors in production. Dark Shrine, Jesus. Just getting into everything. Making Disruptors, working towards that Dark Shrine as well. NightMare moves out. And NightMare, he needs to get some damage done here. Despite the openers, despite the start of the game. Still been very tense. Still very close. NightMare going for his own base, so he wants to get into his own Disruptors, which means he's playing for the mid-game. His goal here is not to kill Arrogfire, it's to posture, to poke in, not to commit, as he knows he's behind in Disruptors. And yeah, we're going to be able to get it back and forth. Oh, he wants that Nova. Nova goes off. Oh no! Oh, no reaction. Wasn't paying attention. And massive connection here. Arrogfire, he will pop off. And with that, takes a massive lead. NightMare dropping into the main. Does drop in. Gets a couple of workers. This one gets turned away. But the pressure is on NightMare. And again, Arrogfire just getting further ahead, securing himself. Now, what I will say is that even though Arrogfire, he is ahead when it comes to the Disruptor counts, we have 2 Disruptors on the way here for NightMare, and he already has 1. And the reality is that all it takes is 1 or 2 good Novas in either direction, and the game can just end, or it can swing in favor of that player. We've seen many a time a player with, who's up in Disruptors losing everything to a couple of Novas. So Arrogfire does have a lead, but in this kind of game state, I don't know if it's the most impactful of things here. GT warps in, hits the natural, hits the main, 8 probe kills, depowering some of the production. Nicely done. Normal PvP? A normal PvP would be over by now. It'd be over, what do you mean? So now we're getting to this game state. We have a blink on the way for the Dark Templar. The game is slowing down. Arrogfire is going to be the first to max. He's almost there. He's almost maxed out. And we'll see how these armies collide again. It all comes down to those disruptors. We have 7 for Arrogfire, only 4 for NightMare. We're holding on to those Novas. Ooh, NightMare getting caught out. And Nova goes off. Ooh, nice connection. Takes down a couple of units. Once again, both armies posturing. Both armies rotating. Novas will zone. NightMare being a little bit trigger happy here. Sending out 2 Novas at a time. Doesn't want to waste his Novas here. He's got what? 1 Nova left. Disruptor gets targeted down. Does graze the army. But Arrogfire's got plenty of disruptors here. He can force his way through. Oh. Once again being zoned back. Arrogfire so far being quite tentative when it comes to using his own Novas. Has yet to really be too assertive. Getting bullied back. Arrogfire trying to rotate. NightMare keeps up. Does spot the rotation in time. One of the terror animals. He's an animal, Bob. He's an animal. True, true. Este on mono. SMH my head. Oh my god, as NightMare rotates, the DTs they pop up in the mineral line. And DT's gonna be popping up. Mineral line going down. Oh no! Ooh, no reaction. Doesn't notice. Massive connection here. Stalkers go down. We have Zealots across the map. DT's in the mineral line. Workers are going down from both sides. Very nice defensive Nova. Oh, sorry, aggressive Nova even. Those are defensive DTs. Jesus. Both players taking losses. That's going to be 15 workers. The entire mineral line did go down for Arrogfire. So the worker counts are evening up. Main army's going to be clashing. Arrogfire being zoned away. He still has 11 disruptors. It's one of those things where Arrogfire, he has a lot of disruptors, but he hasn't really been making use of them. Where there's Novas, where there's connections. Up! Oh my god! NightMare! Not looking, not paying attention, takes 2 massive Novas to the face. Blink was available, by the way. Arrogfire, he's holding on. NightMare, he takes the Novas to the face. But still plenty more Novas available. Plenty more available. Warping into the main. Massive Zealot warping, I should say. Nice splits here against the Nova as well. Nice attention to detail. Now we're pushing in. Here come the flanking disruptors, though. They're coming from the right-hand side. 1, 2 disruptors going to be going down. Ooh, massive connections. And NightMare, he does pop off. Arrogfire getting caught out. Losing most of his disruptors. I should say, I say most, really half. Holding the line. Mineral line's going to be going down. 15 probe kills. Oof. And NightMare has to get the hell out of here. We'll pull away. Messy engagement here. Disruptors, they do come in. They rally into the army. Late Nova. Late Nova from NightMare. Leading out those disruptors. But still trying to break through. And losing every single disruptor here. NightMare down to a handful of stalkers. But reinforcements are on the way. Oh my god, takes another Nova to the face. And NightMare, even though the trades have been messy, what's important here, the economy. The mineral lines were going down. Arrogfire down to 48 workers, down 20 probes. And NightMare are going to be warping in more Zealots. Reinforcing with disruptors. NightMare has the greater economy, has the larger army, and Arrogfire, he's just having a hard time keeping up. But it was messy. Oh no. It was not Ronaldinho. It was Messi, papi. Ay, ay, ay. So far, Arrogfire is keeping up. He's trying to hold on. If he can land some Novas, he can bounce back. Oh no! Oh my god. Whew. Those don't quite connect. Arrogfire, he pulls away in time, thankfully. Does pull back. CT does waddle in. NightMare go for the cannons. And again, I can't count Arrogfire out. Not when he has so many disruptors. He's got six disruptors. We've seen him pop off. He just has to do it again. Speaking of, oh my god, he's popping off, Pappy. He's popping. He's doing it. Massive connection. We just need to do that again. One more time. One more time, Pappy. As NightMare still has a lead. But all it takes is a couple of Novas. Zoning away. Oh no! No, the Arrogfire, no! The Novas, they pop off. He loses everything. And that's going to be game. That's going to be it. Arrogfire, he's lost all of his army. All the disruptors. The Novas were insane. 20 perms going down the base as well. Arrogfire down to 1 Colossus and a Dream. He lost every single disruptor. No Novas left. GG gets called, and NightMare, he will take the series 3-1, advancing on to the next round. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Everyone took the Novas to the face, whether it was NightMare, whether it was Arrogfire, of course, towards the end. Unfortunately, Arrogfire, he wasn't quite paying attention, did not notice those 2 Novas popping off, and he lost every single disruptor. He had 6 disruptors, and he went down to 0. Went down to 0 then and there. That was game. That was the moment. And NightMare did pop off. It's still very close, very back and forth, very tense game state between both players. Could have gone either way. Some strong moments for both players as well, but GG. GG, well played. And NightMare will take it. And Arrogfire, he is knocked out of the OSC Season 12 Championship. GG. GG, well played. My heart goes out to Arrogfire. He played very well here, making it this far. Remember, Arrogfire, he eliminated Jumi and he eliminated Classic. 2 very strong Protosses that went down at the hands of Arrogfire, but alas, he was unable to surpass NightMare here, as NightMare proved to be too much. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to NightMare, just catching up in the chat. No.